The Crash and First Encounter. The twin suns of Celestra cast prismatic light across the crystal spires of the palace, painting rainbow shadows on the marble floors where Princess Amara Celine stood. She gazed through the viewport at the endless expanse of stars, her reflection ghostly against the cosmic backdrop. 26 cycles she had lived, and for half of them suitors had arrived bearing gifts of stardust and promises of devotion. Yet her heart remained untouched, a garden awaiting rain that never fell. "Your Highness, there's been an incident," her advisor Theron announced, his violet skin darkening with concern. "An unidentified vessel has crashed in the Shimmerwoods." Amara turned, her flowing gown of liquid silver catching the light. "Send the recovery teams." "Already dispatched, Princess, but the pilot, he's from Earth, a human." Something stirred in Amara's chest. Curiosity, perhaps. Humans were rare this far into the outer territories. "I will oversee his treatment personally." Theron's eyes widened. "Princess, protocol!" "Protocol can wait." She was already moving, her bare feet silent on the cool floors, the luminescent markings along her arms glowing softly with each heartbeat. The medical wing smelled of healing herbs and ozone. On the recovery platform lay a man unlike any being she'd encountered. His skin was a warm brown, unmarked by the bioluminescence common to most spacefaring races. Dark hair fell across his forehead, and even unconscious, his face held a gentle quality that made her breath catch. The healer, Nisa, adjusted the cellular regenerator above his chest. "Minor injuries, Highness. He'll wake soon. Remarkably resilient physiology for a species so ordinary." But as Amara studied him, ordinary seemed the wrong word entirely. His eyes opened, deep brown, like the earth itself, and found hers immediately. For a long moment neither spoke. Then his lips curved into a crooked smile that sent warmth flooding through her. "Either I'm dead," he said, his voice rough but kind, "or angels look different than I expected." Despite herself, Amara laughed, a sound so rare that Nisa actually gasped. "You're very much alive, traveler. I am Princess Amara. You've crashed on Celestra." He tried to sit up, wincing. Jax Rivera. I'm a cartographer. Was mapping uncharted systems when my navigation failed." He looked around, wonder replacing pain in his expression. "This place is incredible." "You find beauty where others see duty," she murmured, surprising herself. Most visitors catalog Celestra's worth in resources and strategic value. "Isn't that what beauty is? Seeing what others miss?" Jax met her gaze again, and Amara felt the strangest sensation, as if something long dormant within her was finally waking up. She should leave. Protocol demanded it. Instead, she found herself pulling a chair closer to his bedside. "Tell me about Earth, Jax Rivera." And as he spoke of blue oceans and green forests, of rain and seasons and simple wonders, Princess Amara felt herself breathing in a way she never had before. Deeply, fully, as if tasting life for the very first time. Forbidden friendship. The days that followed blurred into something Amara had never experienced: anticipation. Each morning she found excuses to visit the guest quarters, where Jax was recovering, her heart quickening as she approached his door. "You're here again," he'd say with that smile, and she'd pretend her visit was mere courtesy. But they both knew better. On the 5th day, when Celestara's physicians cleared him for movement, Amara did something unprecedented. She dismissed her attendants and personally guided Jax through the palace gardens, a sanctuary few outsiders ever witnessed. "These are moonflowers," she explained, touching a blossom that pulsed with soft light. "They bloom only in starlight and sing when the moons align." Jax leaned close, listening. "I hear it, like wind chimes made of dreams." He looked at her, his expression unguarded. "On Earth, we have fireflies, tiny insects that glow in the summer darkness. My grandmother used to say they were fallen stars learning to fly again."
Amara found herself smiling more in his presence than she had in years. You speak in poetry without trying, and you carry the weight of worlds without complaining. His observation was gentle, but it pierced through her careful composure. They walked deeper into the gardens, where crystalline fountains hummed with ancient magic. Amara sat on a bench beneath a canopy of luminescent vines, and Jack settled beside her, not too close, respecting propriety, yet close enough that she felt the warmth radiating from him. "Why haven't you chosen a consort?" he asked quietly. "Theron mentioned you've refused hundreds of suitors." Amara traced patterns in the air, her fingertips leaving brief trails of light. "Because they see a crown, not a person. They desire the princess, not Amara." She paused, vulnerability creeping into her voice. "Sometimes I wonder if there's anyone who could want both." "I think," Jack said carefully, "that the crown is part of who you are, but it's not what makes you beautiful." Her breath caught. "And what does?" "The way you laugh when you forget to be formal, how you touch flowers like they're old friends, the fact that you came to check on a crashed pilot when you could have sent anyone." He met her eyes. "You see people, Amara. Really see them. That's rare, crown or not." Something shifted between them then, an invisible thread pulling taut. Amara knew she should stand, should maintain distance, should remember that he was human and temporary and completely impossible. Instead, she stayed. They began meeting in secret, stolen hours in the garden under the pretense of showing him Celestara's culture. Jax taught her Earth games and told her stories of his travels. She showed him how to read the star patterns sacred to her people and shared the hopes she'd never voiced to anyone. One evening, as 3 moons rose over the garden, Jax produced a small device from his ship's salvage. "May I?" Music filled the air. Something called jazz, he explained, from Earth's ancient past. It was unlike Celestaran harmonics, raw and soulful and achingly human. "Dance with me?" he asked, extending his hand. "I don't know this style," Amara whispered, even as she placed her hand in his. "Neither do I, really. We'll figure it out together." And they did, swaying beneath alien stars, her luminescent markings growing brighter with each racing heartbeat. His hand rested at her waist, hers on his shoulder, and the space between them felt charged with everything unspoken. "Amara," he breathed, his face close to hers. "Don't," she interrupted softly. "Not yet. Let me have this moment before reality intrudes." But reality was already intruding. From the palace shadows, eyes watched, jealous, calculating, and deeply displeased.
The Festival of Lights. The Festival of Lights arrived like a beautiful sentence of doom. Amara stood in her ceremonial chamber as attendants draped her in traditional regalia, a gown woven from captured starlight, jewels that pulsed with her home world's core energy, and the crown of Celestara, which felt heavier than ever before. "Smile, Highness," Nissa encouraged, applying luminescent paint to Amara's cheekbones. "Tonight you finally choose your consort. The people are thrilled." Amara's reflection stared back at her, beautiful and hollow. In the mirror, she looked every bit the perfect princess. But inside, her heart was breaking. Because Jax would be there, watching from the crowd as she was presented with suitor after suitor, and eventually, by law and tradition, she would have to choose one. The grand courtyard blazed with thousands of floating lights, each one representing a star in Celestaran territory. Beings from across the galaxy had gathered, dignitaries, nobles, and the suitors themselves. Lord Vexen of the Krillian Empire, with his silver armor and predatory smile. Prince Dalton from the Nebula Courts, beautiful and vapid. Commander Zyre, a decorated warrior who spoke only of conquest. All of them wanted the princess. None of them knew Amara. She processed through the crowd on a platform of pure light, her face serene, her heart screaming. Her eyes searched until they found him, Jax, standing apart in simple clothes, his earth-brown eyes full of poorly concealed anguish. Their gazes locked, and the world reduced to just that connection. "Princess Amara Celine," the High Chancellor announced, "as tradition dictates, you will now receive the declarations of courtship. You must choose before the 3 moons reach zenith." One by one, the suitors approached with their rehearsed speeches and lavish gifts. Vexen offered her 3 planets. Dalton promised eternal devotion that rang false as tin. Zyre pledged his fleet to her service. Each declaration felt like a chain wrapping around her throat. When the last suitor finished, the crowd waited in breathless anticipation. The moons climbed higher. The Chancellor gestured for her response. Amara stood, and the platform elevated her above everyone. Her voice, when she spoke, rang clear and unwavering through the amplification crystals. "I refuse them all." Gasps rippled through the assembly. The Chancellor's face went pale. "Your Highness, you must choose." "I must choose what is right for Celestara and for myself, and I cannot bond with someone I do not love." She turned, finding Jax in the crowd, seeing his eyes widen with shock and hope. "My heart belongs to another. It belongs to a man who sees me, not my crown, who makes me laugh and teaches me to dance beneath foreign stars, who crashed into my world and awakened everything I thought I'd lost." The crowd erupted in chaos. Advisors rushed forward, suitors shouted in outrage. But Amara stepped off the platform and walked through the parting crowd, her eyes never leaving Jax's face. When she reached him, the noise faded to nothing. "Amara," he whispered, "you can't. This will ruin everything." "You are everything," she said simply. And then she kissed him. His arms came around her as hers wrapped around his neck, and the kiss was everything. Tender and desperate, defiant and true. The luminescent markings on her skin blazed brilliant white, a physiological response their people showed only with true love. The crowd fell silent, witnessing something they'd never seen. Their princess, glowing like a newborn star, claiming her choice. When they finally parted, Jax touched his forehead to hers. "I love you," he whispered. "I've loved you since you laughed at my terrible angel joke." "And I love you," Amar replied, loud enough for all to hear. "This human, this beautiful soul who taught me what it means to truly live." But in the shadows beyond the lights, Lord Vexen's expression twisted with rage. His silver armor gleamed as he turned away, already plotting. Some rejections, after all, demanded revenge. Conspiracy and danger. The morning after the festival, Amara woke to find her private chambers surrounded by the Council of Elders. "You have disgraced this world," Elder Morvain declared, his ancient face carved with disapproval. "A human? A being with no rank, no lineage, no power?" Amara rose from her bed, wrapping herself in dignity despite her simple sleep clothes. "I have chosen love over politics. Is that not what our ancestors taught? That the heart's truth guides the wise?" "Romantic folklore," Morvain spat. "Your duty is to Celestara, not to fleeting emotion." "My duty is to be honest with my people," Amara countered. "Would you prefer I live a lie?" The argument raged for hours, but Amara wouldn't yield. Finally, the council withdrew with thinly veiled threats, leaving her exhausted but resolute. She found Jax in the repair hangar, working on his ship alongside Celestaran engineers. His hands were smudged with grease, his hair disheveled, and her heart swelled at the sight of him, so beautifully, ordinarily human. "They want you gone," she said without preamble. Jax looked up, pain flickering across his face. "I know. Theron came by this morning, said my ship will be ready in 3 days. He set down his tools and came to her, cupping her face gently. Amara, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm being selfish, keeping you from..." She pressed her fingers to his lips. Don't make my choices for me." They stood in the hangar's dim light, holding each other as if proximity alone could solve the impossible situation they faced. Meanwhile, in the shadowed corners of the palace, Lord Vexen moved his pieces into place. "Are you certain this will work?" he asked his hired saboteur, a creature of shifting shadows named Wraith. "The human's ship will fail catastrophically upon launch.
No trace of tampering. An unfortunate accident. And the rumors? Spreading nicely. By evening, half the planet will believe the human used forbidden Earth technology to enchant the princess. Fear is a useful tool, my lord. Vexen smiled coldly. Excellent. When Rivera is dead and Amara is grieving, she'll need comfort, guidance, a strong consort to help her rule. The whispers began that very day. In marketplaces and council chambers, citizens murmured about dangerous human influences and unnatural attachments. Some called Jax a sorcerer, others a manipulator. The stories grew with each telling, poison spreading through Celestera's gleaming streets. By nightfall, a crowd had gathered outside the palace, their voices rising in protest. Amara stood at her window, watching her world turn against the man she loved, feeling powerless for the first time in her life. A knock came at her door. Jax entered, his expression grave. "I'm leaving tonight," he said quietly, "before this gets worse." "No!" Amara crossed to him, fierce and trembling. "We fight this together." "There's nothing to fight, Amara. I'm nobody, a cartographer from a backwater planet. You're royalty. Maybe we were foolish to think this could work." She grabbed his hands, her luminescent markings flickering with distress. "Don't you dare give up on us." "I'm trying to protect you," his voice cracked. "Every moment I stay, your people hate you more. I can't be the reason you lose everything." Tears spilled down her cheeks, glowing faintly. "You are everything. Without you, the crown means nothing." He pulled her close, his own eyes wet. "I love you. Stars help me. I love you so much, it terrifies me." "Then stay," she whispered against his chest. "Stay tonight. Whatever comes tomorrow, let us have this." He lifted her chin, his thumb brushing away her luminescent tears. "Are you sure?" In answer, she kissed him, soft at first, then deeper, pouring all her fear and love and desperation into the connection. He responded with equal intensity, his hands trembling as they moved to her waist, her back, tangling in her hair. They moved to her private quarters, to the bed draped in silks that shimmered like captured moonlight. There they shed not just clothes, but pretense, walls, and fear. "You're shaking," Jax murmured, his lips tracing the glowing patterns on her shoulder. "So are you," Amara breathed, her hands exploring the planes of his chest, the warmth of his skin against hers. They came together with tenderness and passion, learning each other in the language beyond words. Her markings blazed brilliant white wherever he touched, a map of desire and devotion. His whispered words of love mixed with her sighs, creating their own private symphony. Afterwards, they lay entwined, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her back. "Whatever happens," Jax said softly, "I want you to know this, us, you've given me more than I ever dreamed possible." Amara lifted her head, kissing him gently. "This isn't an ending, Jax Rivera. I won't let it be." But outside, in the darkness, sabotage was complete and rumors reached fever pitch. The morning would bring consequences neither of them could yet imagine.
Love's triumph. Dawn broke over Celestara with deceptive beauty, the twin suns painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Amara woke in Jax's arms, momentarily peaceful, before reality crashed back. Today, the council would demand her answer: send Jax away or face abdication. "Good morning," Jax murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple. Before she could respond, alarms shrieked through the palace. They dressed hastily and rushed to the hangar, where smoke billowed from Jax's ship. Engineers scrambled with extinguishers, while Theron stood rigid with fury. "Sabotage," he announced, holding up a melted component. "Someone wanted this ship to explode during launch." Ice flooded Amara's veins. If Jax had left last night as planned. "Who would do this?" Jax asked, staring at his destroyed vessel. "Someone who wanted you dead," Amara said quietly, her mind racing. Then louder, "Summon the council, now!" Within the hour, the grand chamber filled with advisors, elders, and, Amara had insisted,
Lord Vexen and the other rejected suitors. The crowd from last night had swelled, filling the courtyard beyond, their chants audible through the crystal walls. "The people demand the humans' exile," Elder Marvine declared. "This chaos must end." "This chaos," Amara countered, her voice ringing with authority, "was manufactured." She gestured to Theron, who displayed the sabotage components on holographic screens. "Someone tried to murder Jax Rivera, someone who wanted to remove him and blame his death on accident." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. "Furthermore," Amara continued, "the rumors claiming Jax used technology to enchant me? Has anyone actually found evidence of such devices? Or are we condemning a man based on fear and gossip?" Silence fell. Then, a voice from the crowd spoke up, Nissa, the healer. "I have examined the human thoroughly. He possesses no such technology. The princess's physiological responses are entirely natural. What you witnessed at the festival was genuine bonding luminescence." Other voices joined hers. Engineers who'd worked with Jax spoke of his integrity. Palace staff mentioned his kindness. Slowly, the tide began to turn. But Vexen could remain silent. Regardless of devices, he remains unsuitable, a nobody from an insignificant world. "Is that what troubles you, Lord Vexen, or is it that I chose him over you?" Vexen's composure cracked. "You're a foolish child playing at love. You need a strong consort, not a weak human." "Weak?" Jack stepped forward, his voice steady. "I may not have armies or planets to offer, but I have something you never will. Amara's freely given love, not purchased or demanded." "You dare speak to me?" "I dare," Jack said firmly, "because love makes you brave. Amara taught me that." Amara's heart swelled. She moved to stand beside Jack's, taking his hand. Her markings glowed softly, and she addressed not just the council, but the crowds beyond, her voice amplified through the crystals. "My people, I stand before you not just as your princess, but as a woman who has found the rarest treasure in the universe, true love. I could choose power, alliances, convenience, or I can choose the man who sees my soul." She squeezed Jax's hand. "I choose love, and if that means I must abdicate, then I do so gladly." The words hung in the air like a held breath. Then, from the crowd outside, a voice called out, "No, don't abdicate!" Another joined, "She deserves happiness!" More voices rose, a wave of support crashing against the walls of tradition. Amara watched in amazement as her people, those she thought had turned against her, rallied to her defense. "She has ruled with wisdom for years. Why should she sacrifice her heart? Love is strength, not weakness." Elder Marvine looked shaken. Even the other council members exchanged uncertain glances. Theron stepped forward, kneeling before Amara. "Your Highness, I was wrong to push for exile. I see now what we all should have seen. Your joy makes you a better ruler, not a lesser one." One by one, others knelt. Finally, Marvine sighed, centuries of rigidity cracking. Perhaps the old ways need not be the only ways." He looked at Jax appraisingly. "Can you love Celestara as you love its princess human?" "I already do," Jax answered honestly, "because Celestara made Amara who she is." "Then let the record show that Princess Amara Soline may wed whomever her heart chooses." Joy exploded through the chamber. The crowds outside erupted in celebration. Amara turned to Jax, tears streaming down her glowing cheeks. "We did it," she whispered. "You did it," he corrected, pulling her close. "You chose courage." Their kiss this time felt different, not desperate or stolen, but victorious and free.
3 months later, beneath 3 moons and a canopy of stars, Princess Amara married Jacques Rivera in a ceremony that blended Earth traditions with Celestaran ritual. She wore moonflowers in her hair along with a simple veil from Earth. He wore Celestaran formal robes with his grandmother's ring on a chain around his neck. As they spoke their vows, Amara's luminescence blazed so bright that people said the palace itself glowed like a newborn star. And later, in their shared chambers, as they began their life together, Amara whispered against Jax's lips, "Thank you for crashing into my world." "Thank you," he murmured back, "for teaching me that home isn't a place, it's wherever you are." Outside, Celestara celebrated long into the night, a testament to the truth that love, real and brave and true, transcends every boundary the universe can create. And 2 hearts, once lonely, beat as one beneath the endless stars. The end.